If you could look into a crystal ball and know with 100% certainty what would happen over the next 2 months, would you do something about it? I mean, would you set your business up to take advantage of the obvious changes in the marketplace? On today's show, I'm going to be so bold as to tell you not only what's going to happen over the next 2 months, but what's going to happen in 2021. Now, in full transparency, there's some good news. And there's some bad news that you can turn into an opportunity for good news. I'm going to show you 7 main ways that you can flat out dial it in the next year. And we're going to have a little bit of fun together too. EdTalks Live is next. Oh, what's up, party people? Welcome to the most positive place on the planet for insanely implementable ideas. My name's Ed Rush, 5-time #1 best-selling author, your host right here at EdTalks Live. By the way, jump in below if you haven't already done so. Say hello in chat. Jump in on the right-hand side on YouTube, right below it on Facebook. And I'm going to tell you, every once in a while, I have somebody that emails me, says, look, Ed, I've watched the last 50 shows, and you never said hello in chat. So, come out of the woodwork. Today's the day to come out of the woodwork and say hello to my friends and the community here. By the way, today's show is how to plan for 2021. I'm going to show you what's going to happen over the next 2 months. Now, I know what you're thinking. Hey, wait a second, Ed. I thought that the media already said who was going to win the election. I'm going to tell you what's going to happen over the next 2 months. What about January 20th, 2021 on Inauguration Day? I'm going to show you what's going to happen over the next 2 months. What about my business, Ed? You said, what about my business in 2021? What happens if there's extended lockdowns? What happens if COVID is in the news for the next 12? What do I do about that? I'm going to tell you what I told you back in March. This time that we're in right now is the time of biggest opportunity. In fact, in a moment, I'm going to show you a clip from EdTalks Live. And this is episode 101, by the way. 102. I'm going to show you a clip from episode 1 as a part of my teaching today. And you'll see why I put it in there, because I'm making fun of myself. Okay, but I'm going to be sharing with you the way to pivot and transition your business to totally dominate in 2021. And you can dominate if you want to. All right, I'm going to say hello in chat. What's up, Barry? Good to see you as well. Hello, Anita. Welcome from Bama. Hello, Diana. Good to see you as well. Good morning, Dr. Wendy Lee. Y'all are doing great. I'm checking you all out on the socials. Somebody's been teaching you how to crush it over on social media. So if you just joined us, my name is Ed Rush. This is how to plan for 2021. In a moment, I'm going to jump up on the whiteboard and we're just going to start cranking. And you can take notes in chat, or you can just take notes on a piece of paper. But I have one fun thing for you. This week, I'm going on vacation. That's not the fun thing. That it is for me. Okay, so when I go on vacation, there's something you should know about me. I love disconnecting from the world. And so, for example, I just had a conversation this morning with my lead team member, Delisa, and my whole team. They know when Ed leaves on vacation, there's no computer. Usually I have my phone off most of the time. I don't check the news because the news is toxic and unworthy of your attention. And usually I set an out of office reminder on my computer. So I wanted to show you my latest out of office reminder, which you're welcome to copy because I certainly got this idea from somebody else. But here's my office reminder. I'll just read it to you real quick. It says, Ed is out of the office. Ed is quite draconian when he takes a vacation. Example, he probably won't even take his phone. So I wouldn't expect a reply. For urgent matters, email support@edrush.com. Anywho, since Ed is gone and since I am in charge, I decided to come up with some new rules. Well, the cat's away, the mice will play and all. Remember, this is my computer. Sorry, the top's you should see at the top it says, this is Ed's computer. New rules. I will allow each sender 1 email. Number 2, if you send me multiple emails, I will randomly delete your emails until there's only 1 remaining. 3, choose wisely. 4, note that you have already sent me 1 email. Hugs and kisses, Ed's computer. P.S. Draconian means excessively harsh and severe. I have an internal dictionary and you don't, so whatevs. All right, so if you're going to go on vacation, I might edit that. That was my last one. I might edit this time around to just update it with something new. But if you're going to go on vacation, you might as well have something fun. All right, so we're going to jump into the content for today. Take the time to jump in on chat on the right-hand side. Tell me who you are, where you're from, what you do. By the way, this Thursday, I got my man Perry Marshall coming back. We're talking about how to detox, declutter, and dominate. Perry just wrote a book that's going to blow your mind. In fact, it was such a great book that I actually wrote about it in my weekly flight brief this week and also on my podcast. If you have a chance to listen over the podcast, you should do it. So you now see everybody's going to email me just to get my out of office reminder. All right, so I'm going to jump up on the whiteboard and we're going to get cranking on how to plan for 2021. All right, so I have 7 things that we're going to cover when it comes to this year. Now, I am going to delve into a brief discussion about the election. I'm not going to get into a political discussion about the election. I'm going to get into a national discussion about the election so that I can tell you what's going to happen in January. Just so you know, everything today is going to be couched in how it affects your business, how it affects your movement and your message, okay? And so I'm going to be saying some things that may sound partisan, but I'm saying them because they're true, okay? And I'm just going to tell you, recently this week, I wrote a post, I responded to a post on Twitter, which is like almost always a horrible idea. And I simply said, hey, I'm not a Republican or a Democrat, many of you know that, but I am, however, a fan of making sure, like if we have an election, I think it is important to make sure that we count the votes properly, which I thought was a pretty democratic idea. And I said, I responded to one post and I said, hey, I think it's really important that we just accurately count the votes. It's literally what I said, accurately count the votes. And it was like I got dogpiled. The first person's response was something like, oh, and I guess you think it's okay for the president to grab people's also, or to grab women by their, and I said, wait, I didn't say anything about the president. I was just talking about the election. And then someone else is like, oh, you're just complicit with Donald Trump. And I said, I didn't say anything. I said, I didn't say anything about either side. And what I did say is I said, look, if you are a Republican or a Democrat, making sure that we are accurately counting the votes is helpful for both parties. Okay, because right now, we are in a situation where wherever this one goes, in either direction, I'm not going to tell you which way it's going to go. That's not the content for today. We're in a position either way where 72 million Americans are going to feel like they just got defrauded, okay? And free, full, transparent elections are actually important, okay? Now, the second thing I'll tell you, and I can't believe I even have to say this, is the media has exactly zero, okay? Zero. This is a big zero authority or responsibility to say who a president is. What happens from here on out is the states certify their election returns. The states then pull together their electors. On December 14th, the electors go to Washington where they literally vote. This is where the actual vote is for who the next president is going to be once the number hits 270 for either candidate. That the electors now become certified. That goes to the new Congress, which meets on January 5th, which I believe is a Tuesday. We're going to get into January in a second. And the new Congress certifies the electoral vote. Now, in most years, I can't even believe I'm going down this road. In most years, there's enough of a return or a result in the electoral vote that the media can accurately predict a winner. In other words, like in most years, they can go, look, this is the person who is obviously the next president, and then the process, which is important, becomes simply a follow-on process after that. This year, however, because the states because the numbers are actually pretty close in certain states, it's more likely that Joe Biden will be the next president, but it's not out of the realm of possibilities that President Trump gets reelected. Now, everything I just said right there has the potential to trigger whatever side you're on, okay? Oh my gosh, Ed, did you just say Joe Biden has a chance of being the next president? Yes, I did. Did you just say that it's possible that Donald Trump may? Yes, I just said that. And what I just told you is 100% true, fact check true, okay? What I just told you about history is fact check true. And if you heard any bias at all in any of the statements I just made, you need to check yours, okay? Because I didn't jump into one corner. I'm not rooting for anyone. What I'm doing is bringing this data together to show you what's going to happen into the next year. Okay, so the first thing you should know when it comes to planning your business, and by the way, if you just joined us, you're like, Ed's talking about the election. If you just joined us, I'm talking about how to plan for 2021. It's important for you to understand that I needed to set the foundation, the context for what I just talked about before we move into the next topic, because if we didn't cover that, the next set of understandings wouldn't make sense. And by the way, thank you for your comments. What's up, Gina? Good to see you as well. One way or another, people are going to be offended. Thank you, Marlon. Appreciate that. All right, so the first thing you should know is that we are set for what I am calling a January wake up. Okay, so I'm going to show you by the 7 things. Okay, so 7 things I'm going to be sharing today. Write these into chat. So the first one is the January wake up. All right. So let me tell you where we are and where we're going. But before I do that, I'm just going to jump into the calendar. I think this is right. The week of January 1st, pretty sure a Sunday is the 3rd. That makes Monday the 4th. Okay, and that makes the next Monday the 11th. I'm just going to write those dates down because I'm going to show you what's happening in the world that we're in right now, and I'm going to show you what to expect. Okay, so the first thing you should know is that everything in the business world over the last 3 weeks just took a gigantic dive, okay? Everything just took a gigantic nosedive. Now, the reason I know this, first of all, I have my own email list, my own marketing list, and my own social media, so I can see my own returns and data that come through that. The second thing is I happen to have about 30 one-on-one clients that I work with, and I also have been engaged with quite a few of the big promotions that have happened over the last month. So I am in a position where I can see everyone's marketing and seeing how it's resulting. And I will tell you, okay, with 100% certainty that over the last 3 weeks, the response and return on almost everything has gone down by about 50%. So if one of my clients would typically get, I don't know, 100 people to register for a webinar, they got 50, okay? If one of my clients used to post onto Facebook and got like 25 likes, they got 12, okay? If they used to post on Instagram and they got 100 comments, now they're getting 50 comments, unless that content was about national current issues and the election, okay? So you'll see, for example, if you follow me on Instagram, which you should, @EdRushPilot is my Instagram. Delisa, throw that in the chat for me. @EdRushPilot. Actually, just throw the whole link into Instagram if you could. If you follow me there, you'll see that about 3 weeks ago, my attention shifted a little bit to talking around the election. You'll notice I didn't jump in on a partisan way because, frankly, that's not congruent with my brand. Okay, but what I did do is I started discussing things from, for example, I quoted one of my best responding Instagram posts was a quote from Winston Churchill that says a lie has a chance to get around a lie gets around the world before the truth has time to get its pants on. Okay, so that was one of the things that I posted. That got a big response because it was somehow connected to it wasn't perfectly connected to the election, but the idea was it was kind of floating around the outside of the election. Okay, so everything has gone down. Everything's just gone down, and there's a reason for that. Most of America. The best way for me to define, like, do you remember the old cartoons? In the old cartoons, when someone was hit, like one of the cartoon characters became hypnotized. Do you remember when their eyes turned into circles? It was like, wah! Black and white, like spiraled circles. You remember? Wah! Okay. The best thing, and put it this way, the majority of the United States, and frankly, right now, probably the majority of the world, is like, whoa, okay, their eyes are spinning around in circles. That's because they've spent most of their time watching and reading and listening to the news, okay? So let me just come out with it and just simply say that the news is evil, okay? It is the lowest form of human communication. If you were to strength test evil using strength test the news using power versus force, it would show up right at about 50 to 100 strength, which is very, very weak, okay? If you spend a lot of time watching, reading, or listening to the news, you will physically get weak. You might even get sick and your brain will be scrambled, okay? Now, the problem with that is over the last 3 weeks, our entire country of 350 million people have been like staring at Fox News or CNN or MSNBC or whatever the heck it is that they watch, okay? The frequency level is extraordinarily low. The evil is extraordinarily high. There are fabrications and lies that are being peddled as truth. By the way, you're probably thinking, oh, I know Ed's bias now. And I'm talking about both sides, all sides, okay? So if you're the kind of person that's like, oh, the president, all he does is lie, well, guess what? So does everyone else, okay? Now, back to the point. The entire country has been watching this stuff. It's basically the moral equivalent of jumping off of a diving board into 12 feet of bubbling feces and swimming around for about 3 weeks. There's no way you as a marketer are going to be able to get the attention of your market while they're swimming in feces. Now, really quickly, 2 points. Number one, if you're the kind of person that can't spend a couple hours without checking in on the news, I have one simple challenge for you, which is this. Go 7 days. 7 days. Because here's the thing. If something interesting happens, someone's going to tell you. Someone's going to tell you, okay? 7 days. That's my challenge for you. The second thing is if you're a marketer, you need to connect somehow your marketing message with what's happening now. I'm doing it right now as you speak. The third thing you should know is that this all comes back in January. You're like, wait a second, Ed, January? Wait, I thought the election was going to be over. No, first of all, this is going to be another 2 to 6 weeks at least 2 to 6 weeks, okay, of like ballot counting, discussions, lawsuits. This is the way it happens. By the way, it happens every time like this. It's just that it's not in the news. Every election has fraud in certain places. Every election has lawsuits. So right now, when you see people say, well, there's no evidence that this happened, guess what? That's why we have courts of law, right? Because if your evidence is awful, you bring it to the judge, and the judge's like, your evidence is awful, right? So even the fact that the media's like, there's no evidence, it's just ridiculous, okay? That's why we have a legal system. My point is, it's like, I can't even believe. Okay, you're like, you sound super biased, Ed. I'm just telling you the way it works. All right. It was like, I wasn't even planning on. All right, now, this is going to be 2 to 6 weeks of all this. Okay, so if you're expecting the election results this afternoon, it's not going to happen. But what is going to happen, okay, is, so first of all, next week, Thanksgiving. By the way, no show next week. I'm taking the week off, okay? But after Thanksgiving, we go into Christmas, where people are like hopefully going to spend a little bit of time with their family, despite what the California governor says to do. Then, after Christmas is New Year's, and after New Year's is this right here. Let me tell you what happens right here. An entire world who has just spent their last 2 months with circly hypnotizing eyes, the last group that spent their time with circly hypnotizing eyes has woken up, and all of a sudden in January, they're going to go like this, ready? What have I been doing for 2 months? Man, I better get my business in gear, and then they're going to be ready for you, okay? So if you are in the business of helping business people, this is your time right here, January 4th to January 11th. I'm planning right now with my client, one of my clients, I'm planning a product launch this week, right this week, okay? If you are the kind of person that helps people with their health, this is you right here. They're not coming to you in Christmas when they're stuffing themselves with turkey. Okay, they're going to come to you in January. If you're the kind of person, Diana, that helps people grow beautiful organic gardens, they just got interested in you all of a sudden. If you're the kind of person, Dr. Wendy Lee, that helps someone with their health, this is you. That doesn't mean you don't talk to them, okay? But if you're going to talk to them contextually about what's going on, just like I'm doing, okay? So the first thing, this is like really important, is you should expect that your market, even though they're a little hypnotized right now, will begin to wake up in January, okay? So let me do this really quickly. I'm going to jump into the comments because I just went off. All right. What's up, Billy? I don't know where the chat should be on. I don't know how to help you, but I think it's on the right. What's up, Robert? Good to see you, buddy. Billy's got a cool old Navy picture. I like that on there. Is that you? Hello. Diet includes all that you take in emotionally, physically. You got that right, boy. Let me see. Thank you, my man, Bart. I'm doing an interview with Bart in like 25 minutes. He said he's feeling great. I don't watch, listen, or read the news. I've been sick in 6 years. Wow, check that out. Isn't that awesome? Watch. That's exactly right. Watch EdTalks. That was true. He did apologize for that, by the way. Now's the time to prepare. So here's the thing. The reason I'm telling you this right now in the middle of November is because that's 2 months away. So if you're like, Ed, but I never seem to, all these things come and I never take advantage, or I'm always too late. Well, if you're always too late, guess what? You got 2 months right now to get ready. All right? So take the time right now to take advantage of the opportunities that are coming out. I'm telling you, I'm doing this, okay? And the reason that I'm telling you about this is because when you listen to me, I'm going to play a 2-minute clip of my first episode of EdTalks 102 episodes ago. And you're going to be like, he was right about that back in March. I'm going to show it to you in just a second. Okay. The second thing that you should be ready for is the January lockdown. Okay. Now, I know that you would have preferred to hear from me. Man, my handwriting. I took that handwriting course. Let's do this again. Ooh, let's make a nice L. I don't know why. It's the content that's actually important. So, by the way, if you just join, oh my goodness. He's got that right, okay? If you just join us, my name's Ed Rush. Oh man. This is how to plan for, by the way, if you can laugh through this stuff, whew, man. Okay, so, Ed, you said this is the most positive place on the planet for insanely implementable ideas, and here you are talking about lockdowns and elections. Okay, so let me just lay it out for you, and then I'm going to tell you what to do about it, okay? So the first thing is, there is probably a 60 to 70% chance that Vice President Joe Biden becomes the president. If you're like a big Democrat, and what I just said probably offended you because you're like, but he was already elected president. Nope, he was not elected president. He's actually not even the president-elect. That's not even a title. We use that title in obvious elections, but let's say there's a 60 to 70%. You're like, 60 to 70% chance. I'm like, just say it's 60 to 70%, okay? And there's like a 30% chance that Donald Trump ends up as the president again. I don't want you to freak out about that. I'm just telling you what I'm simply seeing, okay? With somewhat unbiased eyes looking at it. It's a long road, okay? There's a long road. Now, let's take this 60 to 70% chance. You could already tell from who Vice President Biden is bringing onto his cabinet. You can already tell from the discussions that they are having that you can probably expect a nationally mandated lockdown on January 20th, maybe 23rd. The inauguration is on the 20th, okay? So they get into office like the next day and start writing executive orders. And a lot of those they have prepared. I think the first day Donald Trump is in office, he wrote something like 50 executive orders or something like that. It's a lot, okay? So you can expect that's going to happen. You're like, Ed, I thought this was the most positive place on the planet for insanely implementable ideas, okay? Look, I'm just telling you the way that it is, okay? So, when that happens, you can expect the 72 million people who didn't vote for him to be mildly PO'd, okay? When that happens, you can expect a lot of the governors, okay, who are not Democrats, like Kristi Noem in South Dakota, to be a little PO'd. When that happens, you can also expect that the entire world will do what we're doing right now, which is to come online, okay? So, number one, January wake up, coinciding with about a 60 to 70% chance of a January lockdown. What that means is my third point, which is this. It's time to build or improve your studio. Okay, look, that hopefully won't happen. I'm serious about that. Hopefully it won't happen. But if it does, this is where it's at right now, okay? Live streaming on Facebook, live streaming on Instagram, live streaming on YouTube, creating new Zoom trainings or Zoom meetings. I will tell you that I do a lot of what are they called? Virtual summits, and I can see a lot of the Zoom snaps that I see of people in Zoom meetings, and I can tell who's got their game together, okay? And I'm going to tell you that this is a process that grows, okay? When it comes to your gear, I'm going to give you 3 things in just a second, but I want to tell you that it does get better. Like you can actually incrementally get better. So I started this show quite some time ago, back in March, with a pretty basic webcam and a $125 Yeti mic. The lights really weren't dialed in the way that they needed to be. And as the show has grown, I've changed the lavalier microphone. I've got a nice interview microphone sitting in front of me. I'm looking into a much better camera than I was before, with a little bit better coloring, but definitely a lot better autofocus, okay? And so, and it's just simply improving. So what I want to do really quickly is I'm going to show you like a minute and a half of the very first episode of EdTalks. Some of you were with us, okay? And then I'm going to make a couple points. So check this out. This is, by the way, this is the first minute and a half from episode 1 back in March of 2020, which feels like 4 million years ago, okay? This is episode 1. I want you to watch and smile with me for a moment, because some of you are with me right here on episode 1. You'll notice that I make like a million mistakes, and then I'm gonna break it down and tell you what to learn from this. All right, welcome to the Bunker Bash Day 1. My name is Ed Rush. Looking forward to spending our time together as we just join up. By the way, we're streaming live here on YouTube Live and Facebook, and also on Periscope. LinkedIn just said it wasn't going to work, but that's okay. Hang on a second. Let me just undo that one. Would love to just say hello to you. By the way, if you're on chat, please say hello on the right-hand side or right underneath. Tell me who you are, what you do, and where you do it. And I just want to take a moment to look you in the eye and to just say this. This, too, shall pass. Within the next 2 months, our world and our economy will be unlike anything we've ever seen in our lifetime. I was sitting at breakfast this morning with my son, my 13-year-old son, Jack. Actually, he's not exactly 13. He's just about to turn 13 this week. And as I was sitting with breakfast with him, I said, you know, son, this is a time in life that people will be talking about for your entire lifetime. I mean, when you're 70 or 80 years old, you will be able to look back and tell people, yeah, I lived during that time. We are in as significant a time as World War II, as when JFK was assassinated. We're in as significant a time as 9/11. And our government will never be the same. And the economy will never be the same. And that's really where I want to focus our time today and just say, first of all, this will pass. Second, you will be okay. And third, there is an enormous opportunity right now opening up online for people like you, experts, authors, thought leaders, people of integrity who are ready to share their message with the world. And so I rededicated myself and redoubled my efforts to try to help you and to show you what is possible over the next 2 months. Oh my gosh. I can't, I mean, like, for real. So, Bunker Bash. And some of you, Gina just said she was there. Diana, boom. She said, I was there. Episode 1, baby. So, all right. So the first thing is, it was not perfect. Wasn't even close to perfect. So that very first episode, I went live on StreamYard. A warning popped up in my face and said, LinkedIn is not connecting. And you'll notice when I started, I'm like, all right, LinkedIn isn't connecting. Like, it's like really not, like, you'll notice now when I start the show, there's always some sort of hook, right? Today I said, what would you do if you could look into the future and know everything that was going to be true? Would you make a change now? There was a hook in the beginning, then I play the bumper, and then we come on, and then I say hello to chat. Well, I started to figure that stuff out as we went along. The second thing, like I'll show you really quickly. Take a look. I'm not going to play the whole thing. I'm just going to show you. Take a look at the lights. Oh, okay. So the lights looked orange. The reason why is because I had all the settings wrong, but I didn't know what I didn't know. It just looked weird. And so I looked orange, orange man bad. I looked orange man bad. The third thing is I had no idea how to even engage the audience. The fourth thing was the camera was like way up here. So I'm like, hi, everybody, what's up? I was like looking right down at me. The microphone was way the heck over here. The audio was very untrustworthy. There were a lot of things to improve upon, but you know what? I was right about some things back then. Actually, everything I said I was right about. I told you our government was never going to be the same. I told you the economy was never going to be the same. I told you there was opportunity that was opening up that you could take advantage of. Everything I said back there was true. So if you're watching me now and you're like, did he just say Donald Trump has a 30% chance of being president? Like, I always tell people, instead of telling me why I'm wrong, why don't you just wait like 2 months and then you can tell me I was wrong. All right, so when it comes to your studio, by the way, I'm going to throw a website underneath here. This is a totally free resource. It's edrush.com/GearList, okay? If you haven't had an opportunity to go look at that, it's my latest recommendations when it comes to gear. I'll pull it up real quick. I've got, for example, I've got good options, better options, and best, okay? And I've got lights and my and I'm not even sure, I may get a commission from some of those things, but I don't even think we set those up. When it comes to your gear, when it comes to your studio, it comes down to basically three things. Number one, your camera. Number two, your microphone, okay? And number three, your lights. The lights that I recommend are sitting right there on the gear list. The microphone to start with is actually in that gear list as well. It's just a Yeti microphone. It's a $129 microphone that does the job for getting started. The camera should be some version of an HD webcam, okay? Right now, Sony Brio is the one that I typically recommend. That's in the link right there. And then from there, you can upgrade. I used to say, hey, you could get started with the camera on your computer screen. And I say, like, don't do that, okay? Here's why you don't do that, by the way. I've demoed this before, okay? But like, this is why you don't do that. Check it out. This is what you look like on Zoom when you talk into your camera like that, okay? So, oh man. So you know how like every once in a while I'll be on one of these trainings, I'll be on a virtual summit and I'll see somebody who's a really good speaker who's like staring into their camera. I'm like, dude, get a $200 HD web. The cheap ones are like $100, okay? So start with a good camera and a good microphone. Now, little insider tip. People will forgive your video not being good, but they won't forgive your audio not being good, okay? So if your audio is like, if your audio is like that, people leave. Like 3 seconds, they're gonna leave. If your video's sketchy, they'll stick around long enough to hear from you, okay? But ideally, you want the whole thing set up so that it looks right, okay? When it comes to your lights, and again, I'm gonna probably do an entire show on studio setup. I'm not even an expert at this stuff, and I'm just telling you, I've learned a lot in the process. When it comes to the lights, you actually need 2 sets of lights. The first set of lights you need actually for the background. So you can see actually right on the top over here. See that light right there? Right on top of, this is where it is. You're not supposed to tap like that either. But there's one of my lights. You actually need lights on your background, and then you need lights on you, okay? And because if you don't have lights in the background, people don't get any depth. Again, I'm not gonna go super deep on this, but now's the time to build and improve your studio, okay? I have a couple other points real quick I'm gonna do, but before I do that, I'm gonna jump into chat. And by the way, welcome to those of you who just joined us. My name's Ed Rush. Today we are talking about what to expect and how to plan for 2021, okay? Let me say hello in chat real quick, and then, yeah, oh, that's right, I forgot, I should have shown that too. In the middle of episode 1, I was in the middle of teaching, and I'm like, one of the things that you really, and then all of a sudden in chat, everyone's like, your microphone isn't working, and the battery went out. For real, the battery went out in like, it was like 20 minutes into the life of my mic pack, and I realized I needed more robust batteries. So like, don't use cheap batteries if you're gonna live stream, okay? Different color temperature on the lights. Yeah, so the lights that I use, let me pull this up again. Oh, I shut the whole thing down. The lights that I use you have the ability to go blue to red. Yes, yes, yes. Ooh, that's a good point, by the way. Thank you, Sally. Here's another thing that I learned. I was uploading on Wi-Fi when my router is sitting right there, so now what I do is hardwire everything. You need at least a 10 megabits per second upload. That's what I discovered. Anything less than 10, it started to get a little pixelated. All right? Yeah, he's right on that. Anita, I just answered that question before you even asked it. Check it out. 10 megabits per second. So the way that I do it is I pay the top money to Cox or whoever you have, make sure that it's hardwired, and then get someone to come out to your house and make sure that the wires themselves are all run properly. Every time they create another junction box, the speeds go down. So ideally, you want to be as close as possible to the router. Again, that's not the point of today, but a good upload speed is actually really important. Your download speed is insignificant for live streaming. It's your upload speed, okay? And the website that I use is called speedtest.com. In fact, let me do this really quickly. I'm going to pull up Speedtest. I'm going to test my internet while I'm streaming right here, all right? Hang on. And I'm going to show it to you, okay? I'll show you that when it actually gets done. It's actually using some memory right now to stream, but I'm gonna do that. Okay, so a little bit of a review, and then we're gonna keep going. My name is Ed Rush. This is how to plan for 2021. I'm covering 7 things. I covered the first 3. Number 1, I talked about the January wake up, people coming back to life in January. Number 2, I talked about the January lockdown, the 70% possible full national lockdown that's almost definitely coming in January. Number 3, I said, with that in mind, now's the time to build or improve your studio. Number 4, now's the time to stand for something. Okay, now, I'm not talking about politics. If you want to stand for something politically, you're more than welcome to do that. I choose not to do that, and I'll tell you why. The political world right now is full of awful people everywhere, okay? So I'm not willing personally to align myself with a tribe of people and be told by a group of people how I'm supposed to think about something, okay? So if you're on either side, that's totally fine how you do that. What you will realize, if you're like me, when you come out of the political party structure, you'll realize, why was I so angry about that? Like, I don't even believe in that stuff anyway, and that's true for both sides. I've also said, when it comes to politics, it's not the issues everyone talks about that are the issue. It's the issue no one's talking about that are the issue. For example, one of the fastest ways to fix healthcare is through tort reform. No one talks about that because both parties are being given massive amount of money by lawyers who practice in medical malpractice. Okay, so my point is, I don't think it's important for you to take a side politically. If you want to do that, by the way, go for it. Just know you're going to lose quite a bit of your audience that you probably care about and whose opinions are actually important, okay? But when you say stand, when I say stand for something, I'm talking about in your market and in your niche, okay? For example, when it comes to sales and consulting, I stand behind the idea that consulting is an amazing business that involves helping people and getting paid really well to do it. And if you have the moral fortitude to ask for the sale, you deserve to get paid well and be compensated well for the work that you're doing in the world. I'm bold about the fact that I am bold about the fact that I love asking for the sale and I love teaching people how to do that. And for many people, that's refreshing to even hear that they have the permission to be able to do that. That's what I mean about standing for something. What I said earlier about the media, that's what I'm talking about, standing for something. Like I said earlier, if you just joined me, that the media is toxic, they're evil, and if you spend a lot of time reading or watching the news, it's like taking a 12-foot belly flop into a pool of cow manure and then swimming around there for the next 3 days and trying to figure out why you stink, okay? That's what I mean about taking a stand for. In other words, stand up in your marketplace and be something and represent something. Now, I will tell you, this is a ripe recipe to get criticism, all right? And I get criticized all the time. I'll never forget, man, I did an event. This guy showed up at my event on day 1 and wrote this 4-page letter to me. A 75-year-old guy wrote this 4-page letter to me after he left my event to never come back. And the summary of the letter was, here's why you offended all the women. I'm like, dude, I haven't had I didn't get a single woman who came to me who said anything but, wow, this is really great. Thank you for this event. And some guy took it upon himself to explain to me why I played the movie clip from the movie Braveheart and I offended all the women. I'm like, man, I watched that movie with my wife. Okay, so my point is, some stuff just cracks you up, man. He's probably watching right now, like, I can't believe he's talking about my email. I gotta stop for a second. Just talk about, say hello to chat. What's up? Wake up. January lockdown. Build or improve your studio. Stand for something. Oh, man. He was mansplaining to me. Oh, man. And so the funny thing about it is about 55 to 60% of my following are women business owners. And my events are about the same way. Like when you come to my events, for those of you who've been to my live events, you look around, it's about 60% women. By the way, that's not just me. That reflects one of the biggest areas of growth in the business world are women entrepreneurs. Okay, and I'm happy to be a part of that movement in the way that I've been able to teach some of my amazing coaching members and followers how to make a lot of money as entrepreneurs. Okay, look, I have a daughter who's 15. She's very entrepreneurial, and I love for her to go in the entrepreneurial world. And I'm honored by the fact that I have 55 to 60% of my attendees are women. I just thought it was so funny why he told me why I offended all these people. You put the movie Braveheart there, and that offends many of the women. I'm like, how do you even know that? So, by the way, back to the point. Stand for something and understand that when you do that, you're going to attract like 80% of the people you're talking to, and you're going to repel 20% of the people that you're talking to. I'm telling you. I can look at the numbers on this show, and I can tell you when I start talking about Joe Biden has a 70% chance of being president, or I say there's no such thing as the president-elect until the electors. A whole bunch of people left because they're like, that Rush, he just loves Donald Trump. Never said that. I'm just telling you the way it works. My opinion is both parties are screwed up. You already know that. All right, so stand for something. Number 5. To do that, I'm going to keep saying this, by the way. I'm going to keep saying this until I can't say it anymore. All right? Number 5, target one social media platform. Target one. Right now, most business owners are spread too thin. You've got a few options: Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube. All things being equal, I would start with Instagram, okay? It's probably the most engaged. It's probably the fastest growing. And if you're in the business world, that's a really good place to start. Okay, now, if you're marketing to 60 or 70-year-olds, go over to Facebook. If something requires significant visuals, you may even move over to Pinterest. If you're marketing directly to business owners in a B2B environment, then LinkedIn is your place. Okay, I think YouTube's great for live streaming, which is what we're doing right now, but I send my people to YouTube. I don't get a lot of people from YouTube. Okay, and Twitter is pretty much completely worthless. All right, there are some new platforms that are popping up, like, for example, Parler. But if you've been there, it's basically just a conservative echo chamber, which is fine, by the way, if you're a conservative. There's just not a lot of business application for it just yet, okay? So target one social. That, by the way, is the reason why this is just wrapping up, but everything's recorded and put into, I don't have it anymore. Marquetta Breslin's social media course was awesome. I'm teaching this evening, by the way, for those of you who are in that. It's edrush.com/social. That is my affiliate link, but that also credits you to an extra training. So in a couple weeks, once the dust is settled from the training and once you get implementing, I'm going to bring everybody on who bought through my link, and we're going to do a special Zoom just with Marquetta and I, where we get to coach you on your social media platforms. Okay? And then it's like $295. It's like a really good deal. So if you haven't taken advantage of that, do that. All right? But target one social media. For those of you who've been following me, you know I'm spending most of my time right now on Instagram. I wanted to use LinkedIn, but I have some major issues with the way LinkedIn, oh my gosh. I don't want to go there. Their platform is great. It's just a little spammy right now, okay? And they don't respond to their customer service requests from people like me. By the way, I got 2 more things, then I'm going to sit down and take your questions. All right? No, it's tonight. It moved. And that's my fault. So yeah, come here tonight. All right, 8 o'clock Eastern. That's inside the product, so you have to be, I know, Gina, you're in there. If you're like, where am I going tonight? Just go get the course, and then you'll get in, okay? And everything else is already recorded, so you're going to get out. And by the way, the tools they're adding in there are really, really great. I help them with the video scripts. Phenomenal, all right? Not just because I'm biased. Okay, number 6, focus. I'm going to do a whole show on this, on 3 things. Your 2021 comes down to 3 things. Number 1, lead generation. I'm going to show you how to do this in a second. Your business, the success or failure of your business resides in how you generate new leads. That means you getting in front of your market, engaging your marketplace, and getting them to step 2, which is engagement. Okay, now, step 3 is creating customers. Okay, I'm just going to write conversion, but conversion means converting a lead, which is a person who doesn't pay you, into a customer, which is a person who pays you. Okay, now, when I taught this, I used to just simply teach lead generation, convert to customer. I added this second step because in today's marketplace, this is vitally important. Your engagement of your marketplace means they're coming to you for the answers to the questions that they have. Now, the thing you need to know about your market is if they're interested in a topic, they're voraciously appetiting everything, okay? So for example, most of the people who follow me over the last 4 months have taken at least one of Jonathan Sprinkle's courses, have taken at least one of Marquetta Breslin's courses, have taken oftentimes at least one of Michael Haig's courses, okay? And potentially also took maybe Bill Glazer's course, or signed up with Elaine Sanger and Charles Sanger, or all of the above, okay? The reason for that is because I work with excited, innovative entrepreneurs. And an excited, innovative entrepreneur doesn't just watch 1 hour of Ed on a Tuesday and call it a day. You invest in everything, and you devour everything, because that's what I do too, okay? Because you're like, look, I got one chance at this, and I'm going to make it happen. So you move fast, you take great advice, you implement great ideas. That's the kind of person that I typically attract, okay? And part of the game in this business that we're in, whatever the business is taking a lead and engaging them. And the reason why is if you don't, their attention will turn someplace else. And they will be served potentially by somebody who is serving them less than you could be serving them, okay? My favorite way of engagement right now is 2 main things. Number 1, I do 2 shows a week right here on YouTube, which you all know about because I'm like doing one right now. The second thing is every week I send out something called the weekly flight brief, okay? If you're like, what? Every week, Ed, you send something out? That means you're not on my list, okay? So, let me get my head out of the way. So go to that website, which is Ed Rush. If you're not on my list, then get on my list. You probably are. Okay, but go to that site right there and I send an email out every week. This Thursday, the email is about how to declutter, detoxify your life, and how to dominate. I'm actually bringing in Perry Marshall to help me this week. But I engagement 2 ways. I do a live show, and then I do weekly content, weekly email, which is also typically a weekly podcast. Now, involved in all this, of course, are my social media platforms and everything that's growing there as well. But that also includes lead generation and conversion, okay? So these 3 things are your focus for 2021. I'm going to spend a whole bunch more time talking about this, okay? The last thing, this is number 7, and this is what I'm going to ask you to commit to, all right? And it's just 1 hour. And I want you to do this in chat. We're going to wrap it up in like 7 minutes. In chat, what I want you to do is I want you to commit. If you're in, okay, and I don't want you to promise you're going to do something that you're not going to do. But if you're in, I want you to commit to spending 1 hour a day during your work days. You don't have to do it on the weekends, Monday through Friday or whenever you work, to doing nothing more than getting new leads, engaging your leads, or converting your leads. Okay, here's how I do it. Take the best part of your day, whatever that is, 9 to 10 in the morning, get onto Google, start the clock. When you get onto Google and start the clock, now you're on your computer or you're in your studio, wherever it is, and you're like, all right, what am I gonna do today? I'm gonna get leads, engage leads, or am I gonna turn people into customers? And that first question is actually the most powerful part of this exercise, because the first time I did this, I remember like, I don't even know what I'm gonna do next. Okay, so like that first step is actually one of the most important things you can do. And if you do this 1 hour a day, oh my goodness, I'm telling you, this is another $100,000 or more for you in 2021 if you can commit to doing this, okay? So say in chat, I'm in. Give me all fives if you want to. However you want to commit. It's just 1 hour a day. It's just 1 hour a day. Just try it for a week. Just say, hey, I'll do it for a week. Just try it for a week and see. All right, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to jump back into the center camera. I didn't even know how to change cameras back in episode number 1. You see how much I've learned? By the way, running this show, clicking chat and all that stuff, that takes some time too. So if you're trying to figure out how to do a live show on your own, maybe get somebody to help you with the computer at the very, very beginning. Because what you'll end up doing is what I did in the beginning, which is like, and then everybody looks at your forehead. And when you look down, you start to look a little bit like Ebenezer Scrooge. I'm gonna do another show on the studio. I will tell you, one of the most important things you can do with your camera is just put it a little bit above your eyes. You can see how that camera is just a little bit above your eyes. Check it out. I'm gonna show you this again. Remember what I told you? This is what most people look like. They're training. I'm serious. Go on to most of these Zoom meetings, and you see a lot of people who are like, and they're not awful, evil people. They just look awful and evil because they're staring down. And when you stare down, you look awful. So look up a little bit. I'm like, oh man. All right, so I'm gonna take any questions, comments. Oh, no way. What the heck, man? All right, Ben, send me an email, coaching@edrush.com. I'm going to get you in, and I'm going to hook you up. Man. Got it. Anyway, Brian Jones says he's in. Gina Longo says, I am in, baby. 55. Diana says, I'm in. John, what's up, dude? Good. Smarter with the hour. Jurgen. What's up, man? Good to see you, buddy. She says, oh, thank you. Oh, boy. All right, my man. Billy said, where did he say this? Let me see if I can find your Shore Patrol in the Philippines back in 88, baby. Bam. Love it. Yeah, you are in, dog. I'm on a podcast with Bart in like 5 minutes. Love it. All right, so quick wrap up for today. And Dr. Wendy Lee took the notes, so let me see if I can find them. Here we go, hang on. Quick wrap up for today. Number 1, get ready for a January wake up. The whole world coming back out of their hypnotism and ready for you. And by the way, you don't have to believe me on this stuff, but even if it's not true, which it is true, even if it's not true, you're gonna see it happen, and you're going to wish that you had taken advantage of it. And even if it's not true, if it is true, you're going to see it happen, you want to take advantage of it. If it's not true, you'll still have done what you needed to do in your business anyway, so you win one way or another. Get ready for a January lockdown. Actually, I think it's going to be more than a month, but that's just me. This is where I go on my unscripted rant about personal freedoms. All right, number 3, build or improve your studio. Number 4, I'm going to do a whole show, I think, on that. Stand for something. Number 5, target one social media platform. Number 6, focus on 3 things: leads, engagement, creating customers. Number 7, commit to 1 hour a day. on number 6. Thank you for taking those notes, man. That is awesome. You are the best. I'm in, starting from scratch, and we'll make it happen. All right, if you're interested in the social media course, email me. There's 2 things I'm planning on doing. Yeah, tonight, right here in the studio. And Gina, I'll be like when I'm wearing the same shirt and everything. There's a couple things coming that I'm planning on doing. Number 1, I am planning on doing a book mentoring program. I'm most likely starting that like the first week in January. For those who want to write a book and want some help doing it. So it's just going to be a small group, 7 to 10 people, where I'm going to be mentoring you to writing your first book or your next book. The guarantees that you're going to be a best-selling author. I'm going to show you how to do that. We're going to do it together. The group will be helping you with your content as well. We're going to be coaching each other up and encouraging each other. We're going to help you with titles and subtitles and covers. You're going to need a little bit of a budget for creation of a cover. You're going to need a little bit of a budget for editing and a little bit of a budget for layout. It can be as low as about $500 for everything all in, as much as maybe $1,500, $2K, and there'll be an investment into the program. But if you're interested in just finding out more, go to edrush.com/book survey. The second program that I'm thinking about doing this year is called Zoom Selling Machine. I've got a specific way of offering products on Zoom that is very seamless. It doesn't sound salesy and it works really well. And I've got all the emails and everything that you put into Zoom and the emails that you send to your list and what you put on social. And I'm thinking about doing that. That'll be a lower priced course, probably a few $100, $300, $400, something like that. And it'll go for a week on Zoom. So if you're interested in either of those, let me know, either via email or in chat. The website is edrush.com/book survey. And the other one that I mentioned today was the gear, if you were interested in the gear. By the way, if you're not on, it's edrush.com/GearList. If you're not on my email list, now's the time to do it because you got some great stuff coming out, like this week, that you don't want to miss. All right, so probably the first week in December. Brian asked when we follow up. I just want to make sure that when we launch it, we're launching it. Okay, so right now I'm just gauging some interest, but certainly that doesn't mean that you can't put pen to paper and start figuring out what your book's going to be or beginning to outline it. But trust me, when you get into the process, you're going to want this to have been the right time for everybody. All right, look at that, man. We got more people here. We got more people at the end of the show than we had in the beginning. That's a good sign. Don't forget, the world needs you right now. We are in a very, you can feel it. You can feel right now the depression setting in. We are not in a good place as a nation. And part of the reason for that is we have not been led well, okay? I'm not talking, sometimes I say that, people go, yeah, that's the president. I'm talking about everybody. I'm talking about everybody for the last 80 years, okay? I was thinking earlier today about the 60s. 63, JFK was assassinated. Then we had Johnson. Then we had Nixon. Then we had Watergate. And then we had Ford. And then we had Carter, 60s and 70s. I'm like, man, we were heading downhill. Then it's just nobody noticed it. People noticed it. I guess they did notice it. And then the 80s sort of like everybody went into their hypnotism and got weird hair and listened to the Michael Jackson Thriller. And then we forgot all about it. But it's always been a problem. Okay. So those of you, like in California right now, we've had all these wildfires and people are like, yeah, it's Donald Trump's fault. You're like, what? Like, what kind of twisted logic do you need to be like, yeah, Donald Trump is the reason why there's wildfires? Like, deforestation decisions being made for the last 60 years to contribute to this. Anyway, my point is, you can feel it happen, right? You can feel it happening, okay? And your market is now ready to hear from you. So why don't you put yourself in a place where you can influence them for good? I mean it. If you don't do it, nobody else is going to do it, okay? I got my area, you got your area. If you don't do it, it's going to be somebody else who's going to be worse than you. All right, so take that as some motivation. Join me this Thursday for my show with Perry Marshall. Next week, EdTalks is off, okay? So next Tuesday and Thursday, I want you to spend some time with your family and focus in on the areas that are really going to move the needle for you in business. Don't forget, I like you and I love you, and you're really going to do great things, and you're going to change the world, and don't worry, it's going to get better. Together, we're going to make it better, okay? I will talk to you soon. We'll see you on Thursday. God bless. Out.